The bottom number is the diastolic, and it is the pressure when your heart is relaxed and filling with blood. High blood pressure is known as hypertension, and hypertension starts when either the top number is greater than 130 or the bottom number is greater than 80. Risks of high blood pressure include heart attack, stroke, heart failure, kidney damage, internal bleeding, and impaired vision, also called hypertensive retinopathy. Has anybody heard anything about how food affects blood pressure? Yes, now we know sodium does, salt, also saturated and trans fats, and added sugar can all increase blood pressure. Extra sodium attracts extra water into the vessels, and more water means a higher blood pressure. But over time, high blood pressure makes your blood vessels work harder. So to cope, their walls will thicken, reducing the space inside the blood vessels. With the reduced space, your blood pressure rises even more. Here is a list of what is sometimes called the salty six, common culprits of adding excess sodium to the diet, mostly fast food, restaurant foods, soups, high sodium foods. While fruits and vegetables can replace high sodium foods and prevent weight gain, other food substitutions are small shifts you can make throughout the day that can add up to real improvements in eating patterns. Other examples of food substitutions are switching heavy cream or sour cream in recipes to yogurt. Oh yeah, Brenda made a great comment about the last slide about breads and rolls. It's just because we eat a lot of starches throughout the day that it can really add up. So that one's definitely a sneaker, as Nikki says. Other examples of food substitutions are switching from milk chocolate to dark chocolate. Notice I didn't say getting rid of chocolate. Dark chocolate's found to improve cardiovascular function, enhance blood flow, and slow memory loss. So that's a really good switch. Switching from processed meats to unprocessed meats. Processed meats are linked to overall mortality, cardiovascular mortality, and respiratory mortality. Probably the biggest switch you can make is switching from sugar beverages to coffee, tea, or water, unsugared beverages. Another one is saturated fats, like fatty beef, pork, butter, and lard, and switching to unsaturated fats, like fatty fish, like salmon, or olive oil, and walnuts are all great sources of unsaturated fats. So potassium lessens the effect of sodium. The more potassium you eat, the more sodium you lose through urine. Potassium also helps ease the tension in your blood vessels, which helps to further lower blood pressure. What has potassium? Bananas, sure. Also potatoes, broccoli, leafy greens, beans, avocado, dried apricots, tomatoes are all great sources of potassium. Foods that are high in sugar, fat, and calories can cause weight gain if too much is consumed regularly. It's important to know that these foods don't have to be completely eliminated, but should be eaten only on occasion, not frequently. Has anyone been told anything about weight affecting blood pressure? No. Well, extra weight on your body puts extra stress on your blood vessels, causing your heart to work harder and increasing your blood pressure. If you are overweight, losing 5 to 7% of your current weight can lower your blood pressure. here is an important study. In this study, we see that the change in body weight, an 8-pound weight loss over 3 months, so the weight is in the blue, an 8-pound weight loss over 3 months significantly showed a decrease in blood pressure. So you see it in the systolic blood pressure going down 10 points in the red, and the diastolic going down a little over 5 points in the green. And so that was just 8-pound weight loss over 3 months. What does DASH stand for? Dietary Approaches for Stopping Hypertension. Has anybody tried the DASH diet before? No? Okay, no problem. I will tell you all about it. This graph shows the typical American diet. That's the control diet on top of both of these charts. The middle diet is the typical American diet, and then adding fruits and vegetables. And the bottom line is an example of the DASH diet. It's lower saturated fat and sodium, as well as added more fruits and vegetables. So this shows that over an 8-week time, the systolic blood pressure dropped about 8 points in the DASH diet, and the diastolic dropped maybe 4 to 6 points over 8 weeks. So you see that there's like a really sharp decline right away in the first 2 weeks, and then keeping on that DASH plan really is able to maintain that loss in the blood pressure. See that decrease. Firstly, how do we follow this lifestyle change? We just want to increase a lot of these foods. We want to increase our fruits, increase our vegetables, increase our whole grains. And these can be traditional foods or foods from a grocery store. We just want to see a lot more of these foods. And now these are the ones we want to reduce. We want to consume these less often. Convenience store foods, fast foods, packaged foods, canned foods. And we see red meat on here. Now we're talking about like beef and pork, just because they tend to be a lot higher in fat. And that's different than game meat, like we're talking bison or deer. That one you wouldn't have to reduce because they are much more lean. So who would benefit from using a DASH meal pattern? Well, people with high blood pressure for sure, but also those at higher risk for high blood pressure. So these populations, diabetes, kidney disease, tobacco users, people that are overweight, people that don't exercise very much, people in these African American, Alaskan Native, American Indian populations, and adults over 51 are all at higher risk for high blood pressure. So some of these we can control, like being overweight and exercising a little, using tobacco, but some of these are out of our control. And so we just have to say, what can I do to help reduce my risk? But really everybody can benefit from using a DASH meal pattern. The DASH way of life promotes a healthy, balanced diet and can help everyone manage weight and reduce the risk of developing chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes. Oh, great point, Nikki. Yeah, I hate to really use the word diet. I try to replace a lot of the words in here with meal pattern or just like a program that you're doing, rather than really, we don't want to talk about restricting anything, which I think a lot of people get when you hear the term diet. Good point, thank you. Okay, I have a few clips of a video I want to show. Hopefully the advertisements before and during the videos are minimal. So we'll just see here.
Body out. DASH stands.
Okay, this is going to sound a little nuts, but the fastest and easiest way to make passive online income on Amazon.
Dieting so that you can burn fat from stubborn areas like your belly, love handles, and hips can be really challenging.
Looks like
Body out. DASH stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. It's a diet developed specifically to reduce blood pressure in those with hypertension. But scientists understood later on that this diet resolves tons of other health issues. It reduces cholesterol, prevents stroke and heart failure, and brings weight down to a healthy level, even for those with obesity. Plus, it's considered the best diet to prevent diabetes. Besides controlling blood pressure, people following it manage to improve insulin resistance. What's it all about? The DASH diet balances all the necessary nutrients and minerals, like calcium, potassium, protein, and fiber, that are responsible for brain and overall organ function. It improves the condition of your hair and skin as well. What's convenient about this diet is that you don't have to calculate and monitor each nutrient. You just need to reduce your salt intake and eat certain recommended foods. For instance, fruits, vegetables, grains, protein-rich foods, and dairy products. Compared to trendy crash diets, DASH is different. This is a complete lifestyle change. It's for people who need to take care of their eating habits throughout their lives. There's no cutting out or starving involved. You can have all sorts of tasty dishes. You just need...
Okay, let's pause that for a second. Go back to the slides. Okay, here's a quick look at how the DASH meal plan can be balanced. Let's say this pie chart represents the proportions of food eaten in a day. So you probably wouldn't eat all this food in one day, but your grains would be 6 to 8 servings in a day. So more than 1/4 of all your food. And your fruits and vegetables would be 4 to 5 servings of each per day. So easily more than 1/4 of your food. We can see that the lean protein is 6 or less servings per day. Low-fat dairy being 2 to 3 servings per day. And then you can also see that the fats and sweets are limited, but we're being realistic and we're still knowing that they're there. We're just trying to limit them. Okay. More video time.
For anyone on the DASH diet, you can have the following. Cereals. No more than 7 servings per day. 1 serving should be a slice of bread, half a cup of cooked pasta, or half a cup of oatmeal, for example. Fruit. No more than 5 servings a day. This could be 1 fruit, a 1/4 cup of dried fruits, or half a cup of juice. Vegetables. 5 servings in a day. Half a cup of steamed vegetables could be a serving. Non-fat dairy products. 2 to 3 servings per day. For instance, 1.8 ounces of cheese or 5 ounces of milk would do just fine. Seeds, beans, and nuts. 5 servings a week. 1 serving is 1.4 ounces. Animal and vegetable fats. 3 servings per day. This could be 1 teaspoon of olive or linseed oil. Sweet dishes. No more than 5 times a week. A teaspoon of honey or jam is okay. Fluids. Again, 67 ounces per day. Water is preferred, but green tea and juice are fine too. Protein. 7 ounces of lean meat, fish, or eggs a day is ideal. What to avoid? Of course, it is a diet and lifestyle change, so you'll have to avoid all the typical unhealthy products. Fast food and chips, smoked and canned food, salami, sausage, fatty meat, candy, cookies, and other sweets, soft drinks. Because our bodies form a dependency to junk food, you can eliminate harmful products little by little. Don't try to go cold turkey. You're only setting yourself up for failure. Take baby steps. Over time, your cravings will disappear. How to plan your diet. You can create your own menu by taking into consideration the diet's rules and incorporating the products you're allowed to eat. You don't have to do anything special to create your diet plan. You just need to include the necessary products and gradually exclude the bad ones. If your goal is to lose weight, cut the amount of recommended servings. You can also find all kinds of tasty DASH-approved dishes on the internet. An abundance of recipes for appetizers, drinks, main dishes, and even desserts can be found there once you look for them.
Okay, let's take a break from this again. Go back to the slides here. Okay, so let's talk about grains, preferably whole grains. we're looking for 6 to 8 servings per day. And when we're saying whole grains, ideally that should be on the label, or something like 100% whole wheat or whole oat. Grains are high in B vitamins, fiber, and important minerals like iron to help with cholesterol, heart health, bowel movements, and your nervous and immune systems. Something that says multigrain doesn't necessarily mean that it's whole grain. I just wanted to get that out there. It's a little bit, you have to be a little bit of a detective when you're reading some of these labels. Okay, fruits and vegetables, we're talking about 4 to 5 servings of each of these per day. So vegetables are low in fat and calories, high in fiber, potassium, vitamin A and C, and lowers the risk of heart disease. Protein is required for every function of your body, acting as the building blocks for bones, muscles, cartilage, skin, and blood. 1 ounce, they're saying, is 1 serving, and we want 6 or less servings per day. But most of us don't eat 1 ounce of meat at a time. So we want to think about this as an actual serving size might be the size of a deck of cards, and that would be more equal to 3 ounces. So think about how many ounces of beef you might cook for your hamburger. Is it 3 ounces? Is it closer to 5 ounces? And we're looking for about 6 servings, 6 ounces of lean protein per day. How could we spread that out? It could be 1 to 2 eggs for breakfast, a quarter to a half a cup of beans at lunch with our salad. That still leaves us with 3 ounces of lean meat for dinner. So you just got to do a little bit of do some math and spread it out, but trying to get the right proportions of protein, thinking that a deck of cards is about 3 ounces, like a chicken breast. Low-fat dairy or calcium-rich alternatives, we want 2 to 3 servings per day. Dairy provides calcium, vitamin D, phosphorus, and other important nutrients to bones, teeth, and blood pressure. If choosing a soy milk or dairy alternative, make sure it says fortified. But what happens if we don't drink milk or are lactose intolerant? Well, there are other sources of calcium: almonds, broccoli, spinach, tofu, black beans, collard greens, bok choy, and fortified alternative milks. So salt consists of sodium, which is one of the items we want to reduce in the DASH plan. And the DASH plan limits sodium to 2,300 milligrams per day, which is about 1 teaspoon of salt. The average American diet is about 3,400 milligrams of salt. Not double, but it is more. If you're looking to reduce your sodium intake, the real thing you want to look at is processed and restaurant foods. That's where you're going to be able to get cut the most sodium out of your diet, because 77% of the salt that we consume is in processed and restaurant foods. Some sodium-free salt substitutes I've used are no salt and new salt. I've used these when cooking. You know, a recipe might call for a teaspoon of salt, or even at the table, if I feel like I want more of a salty taste, I've used these salt substitutes. And you can see that the main ingredient is potassium chloride. And so we've already talked about how potassium can help us get rid of excess sodium. So it's a double effect using these. I found that they taste the same, if not very, very similar to using table salt. The one thing I would say is that I've never tried baking with them though. So we would want to test that out, because I know baking, it could have a different effect. Susan has a question here. Let's see. Grass-fed beef, free range, compared to bison versus store-bought beef. Oh gosh, Susan, you should come to my grocery store tour next Monday. I'm doing a grocery store tour at Winco. And And we would definitely be talking about the different, lean beef, extra lean beef. But I can definitely add more information onto our next presentation that's in 2 Mondays from now to talk more about how beef falls into those categories. Great question. Okay, a little bit more of the video. Let's see. After this ad here.
If you Walmart, you know that with everyday low prices, you can spend a little less to get a little more, to make life a little better. I just wanna get away with you, with you.
There we go.
Is it easy to follow the DASH eating plan?
That's a real question.
First, let's consult with the experts. According to those numbers from the National Institute of Health we mentioned earlier, DASH scored a 3.4 out of 5 in the category of easiness to follow. But of course, we're only human. It'll be a bit hard to say no to your favorite salty, sugary, or fatty treats. Otherwise, this diet doesn't restrict you from entire food groups. There are tons of recipe options out there, so you'll definitely find something suited to your taste. Get ready to experience some difficulties going out. Most restaurants serve huge portions of salty or fatty food, so when you go out to eat, opt for fruits and vegetables and avoid soups. Also, ask the chef not to season your meal. As for alcohol, you can allow yourself a bit every now and then, but remember that you still have to limit yourself. For the ladies, that's no more than 1 drink a day. Men shouldn't have more than 2 per day. And what's considered a drink? That's 5 ounces of wine, 1.5 ounces of liquor, or 12 ounces of beer. A nice feature of this diet is that you never feel hungry. The main idea is to have a satisfied feeling of fullness. Remember, no starvation. Yes! It might be hard to live without chips, pickles, or cookies at first, but your palate will adjust. Plus, your meals won't taste bland if you add some spices and herbs. Have you ever tried the DASH diet? If so, how did you like it?
Back to the slides here. Okay, this is a really great slide. This shows how the DASH eating plan and the My Native Plate can work together. We can easily incorporate the foods that are recommended and that we want to eat more of, and limit the ones that we want to reduce. And we see that our plate is still full, not overflowing, but it's still a very full plate and still fits in with the DASH eating plan. What's going to help you most at home using trying to get your portion sizes correctly is using a 9-inch plate. So I do seriously recommend you go home and measure your plate just to see. Some plates that we're used to using might be 11 inches or 10 inches, and then we're easily stretching out those portion sizes bigger just to fill the plate. That way you don't have to weigh anything and you're not working too hard to get the right serving sizes. It will just happen automatically. So we're going to cut the plate into 3 portions. There's going to be 1/4 of grain and starch. There's going to be 1/4 of protein. And then half the plate is going to be vegetables with a side of fruit. Water or something sugar-free to drink like iced tea or coffee is perfect. Now, we don't all eat separate foods. A lot of our foods are a combination of things. So this slide shows that the scrambled eggs with vegetables and salsa, you can still make that fit into your plan. Or if you're having like a hamburger with lettuce and tomato and buns, you see that the hamburger is still just 1/4 of the plate. So it's not overwhelmingly big. It's roughly the size of your palm or a deck of cards. And then we have on the last picture here is beef and vegetable stew with a side salad, cornbread, and fruit on the side. So we really can make most meals that you're already having work. We're just kind of being a little bit finicky with the portion size of each and trying to really increase those fruits and vegetables. So what would your native plate look like? Another example could be brown rice or wild rice with some salmon and maybe some Brussels sprouts for your vegetables, and then maybe some berries on the side. It really can be flexible with anything that you're having. So up next is physical activity. Yes, it is true. Physical activity can affect your blood pressure, which is a good thing. Right here, I just want to stress that exercise is any physical activity that can increase your heart and breathing rate. It doesn't need to be a team sport or running a 5K or anything like that. It can be a brisk walk, biking with your kids, anything increasing your heart and breathing rate. You can be vacuuming really intensely, and that would be exercise. If you have high blood pressure, it has been found that exercise directly lowers your blood pressure after a single exercise session. So if you were to wait like 10 minutes after you exercise and take your blood pressure, you would notice a decrease in your blood pressure overall. So if you were to keep a regular exercise schedule, you would be reducing your blood pressure every single day. So it would be able to maintain a lower blood pressure. This graph is probably my favorite study of all of them. This is showing how exercise affects your blood pressure. So it's showing 6 or 7 different activities, and then it's showing how the blood pressure is having a negative effect on the blood pressure. It's dropping the blood pressure. But really the take about this slide is that every single exercise is lowering your blood pressure. So it doesn't matter if you're running, jogging, walking, cycling, you're doing a combination of those trainings, you're doing circuit training, they all are lowering the blood pressure. And this was a pretty big study too. You can see by the sample sizes of each of these groups. It was very big. So they say we should be getting 150 minutes of activity throughout the week. That's the goal. And a regimen of both aerobic and strength training gives the most benefits. So moderate intensity would be, like we said, brisk walking or cycling most days of the week. So that would be 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week. Or if you want to just stay in the habit of 7 days a week, you would only have to do 25 minutes. You can also split those minutes up. You could do 10 minutes 3 times a day, 5 days a week. It doesn't have to be a straight 30 minutes. A lot of people find success in using trackers on their phone or Fitbit. I really find that the feedback helps motivate me. I like that positive feedback when I'm working out. Just another way to keep you motivated. What are some exercises that you enjoy that you could include in your daily routine? The real trick is finding things that you like to do, something that you enjoy, because as we saw from the earlier slides, all activities lower your blood pressure. And so you're more apt to follow through with something that you actually enjoyed. Does anybody have anything that they really like doing since it's kind of springy out, maybe outdoors?
Gardening.
Oh, gardening, plants, yes. Great idea. Oh, that's fantastic. You get a little green therapy with that too. Oh, walking the dog. Oh, great idea. Excellent. Yeah. So even if you walk your dog for 10 minutes, they're going to have to go out more than once a day. So you could do that 3 times a day. You wouldn't have to take them on a 30-minute walk. I have little dogs, and so they don't usually like to walk very long. 30 minutes wears them out. So I'll do multiple 10-minute walks throughout the day. Oh, Susan says swimming and water yoga. Great idea. Yes, those are great. Anything that's increasing your breathing and your heart rate is counting as exercise. Okay, let's see. So excess body weight puts unnecessary stress on the heart and blood vessels. So Even losing 5 pounds can be beneficial. People who do not exercise regularly have a higher risk of heart attack, stroke, diabetes, cancer, and weight gain. Sedentary lifestyles like working in an office, watching TV, driving a lot can be harmful to the health. Adding more movement and less sitting throughout the day can reduce your risk of chronic disease and weight gain. Final takeaways: a combination of diet using the DASH meal plan and regular exercise is a highly effective strategy to control your blood pressure. Exercise should be regular and consistent to see that benefit. As we saw, lowering it will do it one day, that same day that you do it. And if you keep doing it multiple days, keep exercising, you'll see that benefit maintained. And just remember, small dietary changes towards a DASH meal pattern are beneficial. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Just small steps. Is anybody thinking about any goals for this week? Maybe a goal could be using a 9-inch plate, walking for 10 minutes 3 times a day, cutting out your table salt by using the salt substitutes like new salt. Another small step could just be increasing your fruits and vegetables. Does anybody have any ideas? Measure my plate to use a 9-inch plate. Yeah. Eating more fruits and vegetables. Absolutely. I found that using a 9-inch plate is just so helpful because I don't want to spend my whole life measuring my food. I just think that that's too much work. We should just be enjoying what we eat. And if we can just make the short steps into making it easier, I think that's one of them. Anybody have any ideas for physical activity that they want to increase or keep on doing? Oh, walking buddies at work. I love that idea. Yeah, very smart. Just 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes at a time. That's all you need, 3 times a day. Okay, let's talk about what we have coming up. Upcoming Food for Thought live streams are, our next session is April 24th, where we are reducing sodium intake. Then we have May 8th, which is shopping, preparing, and cooking food to help manage blood pressure. And May 22nd is heart healthy eating for life. So a lot of them are basically just blood pressure and food. You know, we're just talking about how we can really combat that sodium and really increase the potassium in other foods like fruits and vegetables. And every session we'll be talking about the benefits and how to make room for physical activity. But right now, I'd really like to answer any questions you guys have. Oh, please do.
I just wanted to kind of echo a couple of things that Megan said. With your guys' plates, and it's not just you, it's society, it's everyone's plates. There really is a significant difference in what a dinner plate looks like now than what a typical dinner plate should look like based off what a healthy meal plan looks like for someone. In some of the classes I've done in the past, I've actually brought plates to the classes to be able to show people the difference, because really a good portion of what we're doing that's contributing to overeating or contributing to extra sodium is because we're unknowingly overserving ourselves. And it's really easy to do, and you don't realize you're doing it because you're just filling your plate and you're eating the food off your plate, which is what you're taught to do. So getting yourself the proper eating utensils and supplies like a proper plate is going to help a lot and go a long way when you're looking at what you're actually eating. there's also other things like there is a whole line of salt-free seasonings called Mrs. Dash. You've probably seen them in the store, and they're great. And there are so many. I mean, you can put them on salads, on tacos. If you are a tofu person, you can season your tofu. You can make your soups and broths, and there's endless mixes of these seasonings that are all salt-free that really help to contribute to just cutting that out. There are a lot of small things that you can do that can also help. We talk about in some of my other classes triggers. You seeing the salt on the dinner table can trigger you to want to put that on your plate. So even small things like just taking those off of the table or keeping them in the cupboard can help reduce the amount of times you add salt to your meals, because maybe you don't really need them, but you see it and you're like, oh, I usually salt this rice or whatever it is, and then you salt it. So some creative things like that can help you cut down on that salt without it really even taking anything away from the flavor of your food or your meal at all.
Great points, Nikki. Absolutely.
Anyone wants any links for any of the stuff that we have coming up, you can go ahead and let us know in the chat, and we'll make sure to get that to you after class. And she did, Megan also mentioned her grocery store tour that's coming up, and that's on Monday, and that will be at Winco here in Longview. So if you're wanting to kind of learn how to shop for produce or pick out healthier items, reading labels, budgeting goes into healthy eating a lot. It makes it really hard, and she's going to touch on all those points in her tour on Monday. So if you're interested in that, we can get you signed up for that. Nutritional yeast is actually a good alternative, pretty good alternative. I know a lot of people like to season their popcorn with it. Popcorn's a big one that it contributes to sodium because of usually high amounts of butter, but if you air pop it, a lot of people like to put the nutritional yeast on as an alternative. And it's, from what I've heard, very good. So you're not alone in that one. There are also a lot of low sodium options for breads and things like that. You just have to, like Megan was saying, be a little bit of a detective on your labels when you're looking into items for yourself. But yeah, nutritional yeast, that's a good idea.
I love it. You don't use it, huh?
I don't.
Oh, it's so good. It has kind of like a cheesy flavor to it.
That's what I've heard. I've heard no bad things about it.
Oh my gosh. And do you know what it's really high in? B12. Yeah. B vitamins.
See?
Yep.
We can all help each other. I didn't know that. That's cool. Brenda, where do you get your nutritional yeast?
Hi, Nicole. I ordered it off of Amazon. That's you can get it, I think, at Country Village, but it's just less expensive to order it off of Amazon. So, but you got to be careful because sometimes the sacks. I had one time one of the sacks when it came in, the sack had exploded, and so all the nutritional yeast was all over in the box. But I was gonna. I know it's terrible. The B12 aspect is why I started using it, because I'm one of those people who's low in B12 all the time. So, you know, I knew that it was high in or good for B12 options. So anyway, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's cool. We'll have to tell Alyssa how to work popcorn into her.
Yeah, I love that one. Definitely.
You gotta work popcorn and nutritional yeast into something. It would be different. Also, another thing that we kind of talk about in one of my other classes, so some of you are probably tired of hearing this, but like Megan was saying, the CDC recommends 150 minutes a week of moderate paced activity, and that's moderate paced for you. So that looks different for everyone, and the way that we measure it is with the talk test. So if you are working out and you think you're, really doing work, if you can talk but not sing, that's how you can measure moderate pace for you. So that could be, for me, that's mopping my floors. I've ever not hit moderate pace doing my floors or going up a flight of stairs, it seems, but it can change over time as you increase your endurance and things like that. But that's how you can measure that for yourself.
That's a great one. Absolutely.
Does anyone have any other questions? Did you have anything else, Megan?
No, I didn't have anything else. No, I'm excited to maybe make a few modifications for the next slide. I'm going to add some more about some lean beef and stuff like that that Susan had mentioned. But no, I don't have anything else for this week.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for just making space for this today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Thanks, guys. I hope to see you guys on April 24th.